This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily sports roundup. I'm here with the biggest headlines from the hardwood to the gridiron, keeping you informed on everything happening in the world of competitive sports today.
Michigan secures its second national title by beating UConn.
Suffocating defense defines Michigan's historic championship victory tonight.
Elliot Cadeau shines as Michigan's most outstanding player.
Dusty May's transfer-heavy roster proves too big to fail.
Contrasting styles met in a physical battle for supremacy.
UNC makes a shocking hire with NBA's Mike Malone.
Angel Reese heads to Atlanta in a blockbuster trade.
NFL rumors swirl around A.J. Brown and Caleb Williams.
Starting with the championship, the Michigan Wolverines have finally climbed back to the mountaintop of college basketball, securing a 6-9, 6-3 victory over UConn in Indianapolis. It wasn't the high-scoring, flashy performance we've seen from them all season, but rather a gritty defensive battle that felt like a throwback to a different era. Michigan only managed to sink 2 3-pointers the entire night, which is almost unheard of in the modern game. Elliot Cadeau led the way with 19 points, hitting the team's first triple over 7 minutes into the second half. Freshman Trey McKinney delivered the final blow with a late three that pushed the lead to 9. Despite a late surge from UConn, including a banked-in three by solo ball, the Wolverines held firm at the free throw line to secure their first national title since 1989.
It really was a game of survival for Dusty May's squad. They were actually out-rebounded on the offensive glass 22-12, and their star player, Yaxel Lendeborg, was clearly struggling with knee and foot injuries. He finished with just 13 points on 4 of 1-3 shooting. On the other side, UConn's dreams of a historic 3 titles in 4 seasons were dashed by their own shooting woes. The Huskies shot just 30.9% from the floor and missed their first 11 three-point attempts of the second half. Coach Dan Hurley kept his players on the court to watch the trophy presentation. A tough moment for a team that has been so dominant lately. Michigan's ability to win while shooting so poorly from deep shows just how much this team has evolved into a well-rounded, resilient unit over the course of the season. Now let's look closer.
The biggest takeaway from this championship game has to be Michigan's suffocating defense. While they had been averaging over 90 points per game throughout the tournament, they proved they could win in the trenches when the shots weren't falling. They held UConn to a measly 31% from the field and 27% from beyond the arc. This defensive intensity was the anchor that allowed them to weather their own offensive struggles. Senior Yaxel Lendeborg, despite his injuries, was the emotional heart of this run. He bypassed the NBA draft specifically to play for Dusty May, and seeing him hold up that shock the world sign amidst the maize and blue confetti was a powerful image. He's transformed from a community college prospect into a first-team All-American, embodying the hardest-playing team identity that May has instilled in this program.
It's also worth noting how dominant this entire tournament run was for Michigan. Before this gritty final, they were blowing teams out, including a 13-point win over Alabama and an 18-point demolition of Arizona. Many experts thought that Arizona game was the real title match, but Michigan proved they could handle the pressure of the actual final against a disciplined UConn team. By forcing 11 turnovers and making every look difficult for the Huskies, Michigan showed a level of tactical flexibility that few expected. They weren't just a high-flying offensive machine, they were a complete team capable of winning any style of game. This victory cements Dusty May as one of the elite coaches in the country, having taken a group of transfers and turning them into a cohesive championship-winning unit in such a short amount of time.
Next up, while Lendeborg was the heart, Elliot Cadeau was the engine that powered Michigan to the finish line. Cadeau was named the Final Four's most outstanding player, a title he earned by being the most composed player on the floor during the most chaotic moments. He scored 19 points, but it was his veteran-like savvy that really stood out. He consistently drew fouls, including a brilliant play where he suckered UConn's Silas DeMary into the air on a 3-point attempt. Cadeau's ability to drive to the rim and finish through contact resulted in crucial and one opportunities that kept the momentum in Michigan's favor. For a player who faced significant doubts about his potential to lead a championship team just a year ago, this performance was the ultimate validation of his growth and resilience under the bright lights of Lucas Oil Stadium.
Cadeau's joy during the celebration was infectious, especially considering the pressure he was under. He mentioned how much the MOP honor meant to him after being down on himself last year. It's a testament to the culture Dusty May has built, where players are encouraged to overcome their own doubts. Meanwhile, Lendeborg's sacrifice shouldn't be overlooked. He was barely able to jump or dance during the trophy presentation because of his sprained MCL and rolled ankle. He stood his ground and hugged his teammates, showing a quiet toughness that defined Michigan's season. The contrast between Cadeau's high-energy celebration and Lendeborg's stoic, painful joy perfectly captured the two sides of this championship team, the brilliant skill of their backcourt and the sheer physical will of their frontcourt. They complemented each other perfectly when it mattered most.
Moving forward, the narrative of this Michigan team is truly one for the history books. Just 2 years ago, the program was at a total breaking point after an 8-win season. Hiring Dusty May away from Florida Atlantic was a gamble that paid off in the biggest way possible. This team became the first in college basketball history to win a national title with 5 starters who all transferred into the program. It's a new blueprint for success in the NIL and transfer portal era. Players like Nimari Burnett and Will Cheddar, who stayed through the dark days of the previous regime, finally got to cut down the nets. It shows that while the roster was built through transfers, there was still a core of loyalty and continuity that helped bridge the gap between the old era and this new championship standard.
Dusty May has proven that his success at Florida Atlantic wasn't a fluke. He brought a think-big mentality to Ann Arbor, pairing a brilliant basketball mind with an incredible knack for roster construction. The theme of this team was that they were simply too big to fail. Even on a night where they had their worst three-point shooting performance of the season and lost the rebounding battle, they found a way to win. This speaks to the physical and mental toughness May demands. He didn't just recruit talent, he recruited players who fit a specific, gritty identity. The fact that they could win a championship playing a style that favored their opponent's strengths is the ultimate compliment to May's coaching. Michigan basketball has officially entered a new era where they are once again a dominant force on the national stage.
Now let's shift to, before the game even tipped off, the storylines were rich with personal connections. One of the most fascinating angles was UConn starter Terrace Reed Jr., who actually played his first 2 seasons at Michigan. He transferred after Juwan Howard was fired, and despite meeting with Dusty May, he chose to head to Storrs. Seeing him face his former teammates in the national championship game added a layer of drama to the matchup. Reed has become a vital part of UConn's physical and deliberate offense, leading them in scoring and rebounding. It's rare to see a player have such a direct impact on both programs involved in a title game. Despite the move, his former teammates like Nimari Burnett insisted there were no grudges, highlighting the professional nature of modern college basketball, where players often move for better opportunities.
The game was billed as a battle of power against speed, and it certainly lived up to that physical billing. Michigan entered the night with a 1-6 record in previous title games, with their only win coming back in 1980. There was a lot of historical weight on their shoulders to finally be considered an elite program again. UConn, with 6 titles already in their trophy case, was playing for a legacy that would have rivaled the UCLA dynasty. The familiarity between the two coaching staffs and the shared history of players like Reed made for a tactical chess match. While Michigan ultimately came out on top, the game served as a reminder of how quickly the landscape of college basketball can shift. Both programs have shown they can rebuild and compete at the highest level, regardless of coaching changes or roster turnover.
Now to another story. In a move that has stunned the college basketball world, the University of North Carolina has hired Mike Malone as their new head coach. Malone, the former coach of the Denver Nuggets, is a massive name to bring to Chapel Hill. He succeeds Hubert Davis, who was fired after a disappointing upset loss to VCU in the NCAA tournament. Malone's connection to the school is personal, as his daughter plays volleyball there, but the hire is clearly about bringing NBA-level gravitas to a program that felt like it was falling behind rivals like Duke. Malone led the Nuggets to an NBA championship in 2023 and is the winningest coach in that franchise's history. His firing from Denver earlier this year was controversial, and UNC boosters clearly saw an opportunity to land a world-class tactician to revitalize their recruiting and on-court performance.
This is a fascinating experiment because Malone hasn't coached in the college ranks since 2001, when he was an assistant at Manhattan. The transition from the NBA to the college game is notoriously difficult, especially with the complexities of the transfer portal and NIL deals. However, Malone's reputation as a team builder and his experience managing superstars like Nikola Jokic should give him a unique edge in the locker room. Tactically, this is considered a home run hire for the Tar Heels. They needed someone who could bring a modern, professional approach to the program. While there will certainly be challenges in terms of recruiting high school athletes, the allure of playing for a championship-winning NBA coach will be a powerful pitch. It's a bold new era for North Carolina basketball, and the expectations will be sky high from day one.
Switching gears to WNBA. The WNBA landscape saw a major shift this morning as the Chicago Sky traded star forward Angel Reese to the Atlanta Dream. This ends Reese's 2-year tenure as the face of the Sky franchise. In exchange, Chicago receives Atlanta's first-round picks in 22,000 and 22-8, along with a second-round pick swap. Reese has been a dominant force in the league, averaging over 14 points and nearly 13 rebounds per game. However, her relationship with the Sky organization seemed to sour recently, particularly after a one-game suspension in September for statements detrimental to the team. She had been vocal about her frustrations with the team's performance, famously telling the Chicago Tribune that she wasn't going to settle for the same results after the Sky finished with a dismal 1-0-3-4 record and missed the playoffs again.
Atlanta is getting a dynamic talent who fits perfectly with their current roster. The Dream were a 3-0 win team last year and already feature all-stars like Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard. Adding a double-double machine like Reese could be the piece that pushes them past the first round of the playoffs. Dream GM Dan Padover praised her competitiveness and drive to win, noting that her production aligns seamlessly with their vision for the future. For Reese, this is a fresh start in an organization that is already winning. She expressed her gratitude for the opportunity and her focus on connecting with the Atlanta fans. It's a high-stakes move for both teams. Chicago is clearly looking to rebuild through the draft, while Atlanta is going all in on a championship window with one of the league's most impactful young players.
Finally, the NFL. As the 2026 NFL Draft approaches, the rumor mill is spinning faster than ever. One of the biggest names to watch is Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. While trade rumors have circulated for months, league executives are now increasingly convinced that Brown will be traded to the New England Patriots after June 1st. That date is crucial for salary cap reasons, as it makes the financial hit much more manageable for the Eagles. Some executives have even suggested that Brown's play has been on a slight decline over the last few seasons, making Philadelphia more willing to move him for the right price. New England has already been active in the receiver market, and adding a veteran like Brown would provide a massive boost to their offense as they look to compete in a tough AFC East.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, the Bears are already looking ahead to a potential extension for quarterback Caleb Williams. General Manager Ryan Poles has indicated that, while they aren't rushing into anything, the conversations are starting to trend in that direction. Poles used a traffic light analogy, saying the situation has moved from red during Williams' rookie year to yellow now. He's waiting for a green light from Williams' performance on the field before finalizing a massive long-term deal. The Bears want to see continued growth in his third year before making that ultimate commitment. It's a patient approach for a franchise that has struggled to find stability at the quarterback position. With the draft just weeks away, these rumors highlight how teams are balancing immediate roster needs with long-term financial planning and player development.
That's our look at the biggest stories in sports today. Thanks for joining us for this daily briefing. Be sure to follow the show for your next update on all things sports.